Send them love and light, but do not be their source of light. This is one of the hardest lessons I've had to learn with the spirituality game because my daily life, I wake up and try to make sure that I'm always focused on source, God, universe, spirit, whatever that looks like to you. That for me looks like making sure that I have a daily routine with exercise, that I have a daily routine with meditation and prayer, that I have a daily routine with speaking with myself and being with myself and allowing myself the energy to grow the way it wants to. I put in a lot of work to get to where I am now. And it's hard when you have people from your past show up and you never really had any ill will against them, but they never actually supported you either, right? And what I mean by that was they weren't giving you that energy when you're like, hey, I'm working on this project, isn't it cool? And they're like, okay, cool. And they don't really invest in you as far as energy and making you feel encouraged and staying encouraged. Like I used to try to do that with friends. I don't do that anymore. If someone reaches out to me about something they're really excited about, I send them love and light. I'm super excited for them. But I've learned that during this process of creating, you can't have an expectation, right? So I had to learn how to let go of that expectation of people supporting me along this journey of education and creating and production and all this stuff that I love doing, right? But the hard part has become when you're happy and healthy and stable, you want to share, right? You want to share with people what's going on, and it sucks because you can't. And the more I keep learning that it's not about validation of people seeing me. It's about knowing that I see myself. And I've had people, the more I keep creating videos and stuff, and they say it, people come out the woodworks out of nowhere who just either you were always cool with them and they ghosted you, right? Disappeared. And then they pop back up like, we were always friends. I never had anything against you. And it's like, no, I don't feel you have anything against me, but I also don't want to let you back into my light, right? I don't want you to come back into my light because it's taken me so long to learn how to hold that light and respect that light, right? A lot of people, they see the light, but they don't respect the light. This is what we call empty vessels. They can put on the uniform, they can speak the speech, they can show up and do all the stuff that every other spiritualist does, but when at the end of the day, they're empty because they don't have their own source of light. So they're going to use whatever template they can to say that they are connected to source. Anyone can be connected to source, but it's your choice in the darkness of inside a self where every little twisted dark thought happens in the shadow. You have to know that there's no ill intent. You have to know there's no malice attached to it. There's always going to be some level of torture inside of the human soul. The human itself has to remember that it doesn't belong to them. The soul itself has to remember that it belongs to them, but they're not being punished for remembering. They're remembering because they don't want to repeat it. So this is stuff that I had to learn when it came to old energies coming back into my life, because it's like, I remember who you were, I remember who we were, but I also remember how you left me. And I'm sorry this season you are not coming with me. You know who you are, whoever you are. I'm not speaking to anyone directly. This is a broad statement, but I have been trying to understand my own attachment to the relationships and connections that I created. And throughout the years, I thought being a good friend meant always being available. I thought being a good friend meant always giving no matter what that person is going through. In reality, I was taking away from my own gifts. I was taking away from my own source because I wasn't fully healed. So when I'm giving away and giving away and giving away and wondering why I'm not getting what I deserve, is because I wasn't healed. Healed for me is knowing that I don't need to repeat this again. I have nothing against you. It's nothing personal. I just don't need to repeat that cycle. We had years of figuring out who we could be with each other, friendship, relationship, other, and it didn't work. So I don't need to find out again if it's going to work, because it's still about the journey between the avatar and the soul. And the soul can heal, but if the avatar is not healed, then I don't know what to do with you. What does an unhealed avatar looks like? You can say that you want to grow and you want to help and you want to figure it out, But every weekend, you're fucking wasted. You're not believing in yourself. You're wasting your own energy on stuff that's stupid. You're giving it to people who don't deserve it. You're moving around and throwing away every foundation that you create because you think you're supposed to. That's what an unhealed human looks like, because I was that person. I was jumping from state to state, from house to house, from place to place, and being like, why is nothing sticking? Because I wasn't giving to myself. And so I had to learn how to remember this journey is for you alone. And if you want to share it, do so. But do not be someone else's source of light, source of everything. Do not do it. I promise you it will fail every time. Send them love and light. Send them well wishes. Send them anything you want. Just don't send them you. Okay? Because for me, I never really paid attention to how I would listen to someone, and an old friend of mine hit me up, and they were just like, here's all this stuff I'm going through. Tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. I get it. It sucks. But I also went through those tragedies years ago, and I reached out to that person, and they were nowhere available. And again, not blaming them, but this is the part of remembering you don't want to repeat a cycle with someone who wasn't capable of having the capacity to hold space for you in the first place. And if they weren't able to hold space for me then, why would they be able to hold space for me now? It's okay if someone comes back healed, but it doesn't mean you have to put them back into your flock. Everyone does not deserve to be in your court. Everyone cannot be in the next cycle of every cycle of what you're experiencing, because it's for you. You have to be your own light. You have to be your own source. You have to know that no matter what happens, no matter how much darkness you fall into, have your moment of being sad, depressed, anxiety, all that. But remember, only you can turn that key to your brain that says, I also have a choice to just be ridiculously happy and enthusiastic. And even if it works or doesn't work, at least I'm in a good mood, or trying to be in a good mood, right? Versus knowing I'm not happy, knowing I'm not in a good mood, and then I sit there. And I've been that person. I deserve to be mad. I deserve to be pissed. You do. But for how long? Because I am not going to keep allowing people in my life who don't see that they're fighting themselves and they won't stop. It's literally like a kid just flaring everywhere. And it's like, I'm not dealing with this. You can do that on the floor, have a tantrum on the floor. I'm not about to pick you up while you flailing around so you can smack and kick me and scratch me and say, I'm sorry, I was just scared. I didn't know. That's fine, baby. I'm going to leave you on the floor, and I'm going to just wait and let you figure out what you want to do. And if you want to come back and walk towards me in the light and walk towards me in faith and knowing that you trust yourself, spirit, universe, and everything around, then I'm more willing to share my light. As of now, that source is cut off. If you want to see me online, you can see me online. If you want to look me up, look me up. But I can't let people back in my personal space from the past who never actually showed up. It sucks. It's not easy. It's not fun. Trust me, I've been tortured thinking like, why can't I let this person back in, spirit? And they're like, do you remember how they made you feel? Do you remember the times you cried thinking that this person didn't care as much as you cared about them? And this is like friendships. This wasn't even like romantic. It was friendships where I was like, why are they not showing up for me the way I show up for them? Because it's not your job. It's not. All we can be is examples of ourselves and let that light shine. And just like all things, whatever is meant to come to you will come to you, good and bad. Remember, darkness loves the light too. So you have to know how to distinguish and have discernment between what is darkness and what is light in your life. Everyone's life is different. It's not going to look the same. One darkness for another might not be the same for another person. That's between them and their soul and their God. So that's why I don't have judgment on how other people live their lives. I have judgment on observations, but at the end of the day, I really don't care because there's nothing I can do about it. They're going to make their own choices. So with that said, use your light to guide you back to your beacon. Use your light to shine you back to your place of solace and center. Do not give it away to those who don't deserve it. That is the easiest way I can say it. I would love to let everybody come back to the flock, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to say, I'm sorry. You can't sit with us. Love you.